Continued from part 1.
We get this message to Kore Soong, curious what's next, watch and observe. Now, knowing what comes, this is kind of an obvious clue, but I think we're supposed to be led to believe here that this is Q up to his old tricks, sending a message for Kore to come meet him, but we are about to discover the return of the character everybody has wanted. This has been cried out for by legions of Star Trek fans since they announced the crew was coming back. We need this character. We need this character to return. Who is it? Dr. freaking Pulaski. No, just me. No, Wesley Crusher in some of the poorest acting I have seen on a Star Trek show. And I don't mean to throw a ton of shade at Will Wheaton here because I don't know if he was given any time to prepare for it or if they just filmed this scene while he was walking to the bathroom, to film a couple episodes of the after show. He seemed way too enthusiastic to be here. He just walked in the room and they're like, dude, we're gonna film you for the show. Here's your lines, and he's like, oh, all right. I'm the Watcher, baby doll. So I don't want to throw too much shade at him, but it was not a great acting job by him. I feel like he was a little over eager, and maybe it's been too long since he played the character. He needed a little time to get back into the role. So what we learn, and this goes back to a theory I had that I just kind of threw out in a few videos ago that I really didn't think was going to come to fruition. The Watchers and the Travelers are the same. The Watchers are the people, the Not Laris, the Gary Seven, the supervisors that kind of go out and protect and correct evolution, I guess you could say. The Travelers, which are the race of people, and I don't think they're a race. I think they're a group of beings, not necessarily a race. So the guy we met was from Tau Ceti, Tau Sigma, something like that. The guy with the weird three-fingered hands and the head ridges that, I keep saying abducted Wesley, but I guess recruited Wesley into being the Traveler in TNG. The Travelers are the group of people that hire and send out the supervisors. So, they are the same group. I don't necessarily hate that. It could have been revealed in a better way, but the fact that there's this big group of Travelers and Watchers, they're related, I don't hate that. I am going to be straight with you. I do not hate that concept. Will they do anything with it? I have a feeling they're trying to set up a modern day kind of show. So Kore Soong here is given the option by Wesley Crusher Traveler to join and become a Traveler with him, or to just basically live a normal life on Earth. And she's like, well, my life has never been easy. I'll come with you. Massive problem solved, because I figured there was going to be a lot of plot threads about, she had no ID, she had no identity, she had no social security number, how was she going to live? Takes all that off the board. She's now a Traveler with Wesley Crusher and friends, so I think they're trying to develop a sort of a spin-off Assignment Earth type show, and possibly she's going to be the star of it. I don't have any real evidence to support that. It feels like they're playing up a lot of these Gary Seven angles, now linking it to the Traveler to kind of give us this backdoor pilot. Again, it was supposed to be a backdoor pilot to begin with, so if they double backdoor pilot to create a series 50 years later, that's got to be one of the craziest shenanigans I've ever seen. Then this part didn't make sense to me. They beam away in a normal type of transporter beam that we've become accustomed to. Not a supervisor, big square room type of transporter. Not the Watcher, no, not the Travelers type of just kind of phasing out of existence. A transporter beam that we're more familiar with, like a Federation ship. So where are they going? Who's beaming them away? That won't be answered this season, but maybe that backdoor pilot. Then, not that I think Rios... one episode to go, I couldn't do it. Rafi and 7 of 9. I don't believe they're actually a good couple, but I am happy they actually have them kiss here. Why am I happy they have them kiss? Because it's really bad that they're just trying to do this whole bait and switch thing of telling us characters are gay in order to just placate people without actually showing us the relationship. I don't like them as a couple. I don't like Rafi almost at all. But the fact that they're actually showing them have a relationship and not just kind of talking about it and, you know, kind of showing us that in whispers, they're actually paying it. And I'm happy for that, because if they're just going to talk about it and infer things, it doesn't help anyone. That's just annoying. So kudos for them to be brave enough to show something like that. Then, finally, we deal with Q when there's like 20 minutes left in the episode. So Q is sitting in the old rotunda, has this nice chat with Picard. Picard was putting back that skeleton key from earlier so that he could find it when he grows up. Well, find it when he's a kid in the future again. Still not sure how this time thing is working because the time is changed. So this is no longer the normal timeline because of changes that have been made. They don't explain that. I don't expect them to, but if this even was the original TNG timeline, it is no longer the original TNG timeline. I'll just leave it at that. So Picard and Q have a nice little chat. Q basically tells Picard that by choosing to hide the key instead of destroying it, Picard chose himself, and because of that, he is now capable of love. Q tells him he's dying. Picard's like, yeah, I established that earlier. Picard has fixed everything in the timeline's going to go back to being correct except for Talon and Elnor. And then Q's like, well, you can't have everything. If it helps, Talon always dies in every iteration of every timeline. Now, granted, I assume she's not immortal, so obviously she's going to die eventually. But is he saying that she always dies at this moment? So she's basically, this is a fixed point in time, she always dies? That's pretty morbid. There's not a single timeline out there where she succeeds in living, even though it was kind of easy for her to with her technology and psychic powers. Okay, but anyways, then Picard basically says, why? Q's like, you need to finish the question. Why me? Why me? And Q says, I'm dying alone. I don't want that for you, Picard. I don't want you to die alone. And then I'm led to remember Q has a son. What happened to him? Is he also dead? Why isn't Q's son there if they're dying? Or if just our Q is dying? Q also had a female he made the son. I don't know if they're married. I don't know what their relationship is. He had these two really, really close associations with other Q. So I would say they're his family, at least in some sense of the word. Why aren't they there? Why is he dying alone? Where did they go? Are they already dead? I don't know. They don't explain it. But back to the Q and Picard relationship. Basically, Q loves Picard, says even gods have their favorite. I want you to not die alone like I am. That's basically the crux of this entire season, is Q wanted Picard to learn that he's worth it. He wanted Picard to get over his grief, get over his trauma, and realize he's worth being loved. That Jean-Luc does not have to die alone as Q is. He can find love. At 97 years old, get over your trauma and find love. And then Q decides to reunite the gang for one last magic surprise. Rafi immediately tries to choke him out because of Elnor's death, and Q's like, fine, kill me. I'm going to die either way. I'm going to send you guys home, but that's going to kill me anyway. So kill me now, or I'll die after I send you home, but it's up to you. Then Rios, in no surprise whatsoever, says, nah, I'm going to stay. I was hoping the family would come with him. He's going to stay in the past. I really would have liked to see Rios captain a ship in the future. I liked him in that role. Will we see him again in the past? I don't know, but these characters had such great chemistry. I imagine they're probably going to use them in some capacity. If they do a 2024 series of Assignment Earth, they may show up in that. So fingers crossed we'll see them again. Then Q and Picard share this wonderful moment. A nice, heartwarming hug. This was disappointing. Q snaps his fingers to send them to the future, and it just kind of does that flash cut. They don't do the nice old-fashioned Q energy, whatever, whoosh. They did that once this season when Q aged himself up. I would have loved to see that one last time, since this is supposedly going to be the last we ever see of Q. And before he does that, he says, well, since Rios isn't going, by the way, I do have enough energy for one last surprise, but we don't learn what that is right away. Then, we're back where we started in the end of episode 1, on the Stargazer, 10 seconds left in the self-destruct, play a little flashback scene of things that have happened throughout the series, and Picard says, computer, stop self-destruct sequence. And, I know who you are, Borg Queen, let's just do this. Surprising absolutely no one. The Borg Queen is the Borg Queen Girardi from 400 years in the past that we just left from last episode in our future, well, I guess our present. And she is here on a peaceful mission. She was not lying. She is here to join the Federation because there's some freaking huge anomaly. They couldn't get through a season without a universe-ending anomaly. They have to. This is wonky, fellas, so strap in. So, this anomaly has appeared in the center of the quadrant. They say that it's emitting tri-quantum energy. Rafi says, well, this is a galactic event. It's enough to destroy the sector. The only way to protect the quadrant is to use the shields of this fleet in harmony. So what is it? Is it going to destroy the quadrant? Is it going to destroy a sector? Is it a galactic event? It seems like they're just throwing words out and they don't really know because it's not that big of a thing. How is it going to destroy a freaking quadrant? Whatever. It's fine. I mean, it was great seeing what we're about to see. So Picard says, you know the more about the Borg than anyone, so 709 Field Commission 2, apparently Captain. Apparently she's a Field Commission Captain, which I would say is ridiculous, but in Star Trek 2009, we saw a cadet promoted to captain, so why the hell not? Now, this scene here, and a couple other scenes, fantastic. It's great to see legacy Star Trek ships with updated graphics and technology. We don't see them long. Obviously, there's some nice ones in there that we saw earlier in the season. We see a nice Galaxy class, we see Excelsior, etc., etc. It's great seeing them on screen, even though I would have liked that to be the entire freaking season. Then they all kind of come together, they put their shields in harmony, except one ship is not doing it correctly. One ship does not have their shields in harmony, so Rafi says, dude, it's Excelsior, what the hell's going on? Get your act together. Surprise! Who's on the Excelsior but a completely alive Elnor? And then they say,
well, remember, Q had one surprise for us. This is quite the gift.
And, yep, Elnor's alive. He has about 4 seconds of scream time to say, I'll adjust the harmonics. Oh my god, the last thing I remember is I was on the Lost Arena. Good to see you. That's it for Elnor. Then they protect the shield. Some beam pulsating thing comes out. The shield's meow, 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 meow. It stops. The orange thing that shoots the beam then turns to a blue thing that kind of looks like the wormhole traveling thing from Babylon 5. And then the Borg Queen says, oh, this is actually the creation of a transwarp conduit. By the way, the Borg don't know who creates them, what they are, where they come from. All we know that it's a violent, possibly deadly race that does it. Actually, they don't even say a race. Whoever does it is deadly, and we're going to need to work together to stop them. We formally asked to join the Federation so that we, the Commune Borg, whatever they are now, can remain here in the Federation to protect it, to be the guards at this transwarp hub. They say, all right, sounds good to us. You can join the Federation, and we'll see you later. Then Picard and friends go to 10 forward, the bar on Earth, and reminisce with Guinan, who now says when Picard met her earlier, she had memories of the events that happened in the 2024 timeline, completely erasing Time's Arrow's first meeting in the late 1800s. That being said, the I wouldn't have such a huge problem with that if the writers of the show did not come out with a press release specifically telling us the fact that she didn't remember Time's arrow was a plot point that would be detailed in this season. It wasn't addressed at all. Whatever. So now we're living in an alternate timeline, which is fine. A slightly altered timeline, which is fine with me, because it's not the TNG timeline anymore. Even if it originally was, which I have questions about. Anyways, she tells him, well, I thought the entire time you were in here, you're going to notice this picture of Rios and Teresa. They became doctors. They went and helped the world. Rios died in a bar fight in, forgot where it was. Somewhere overseas. Cambodia, maybe? I don't remember. Died in a fight with medical supplies. Teresa died of old age. Their son, the fantastic Ricardo, who loved the cake, loved eating cake, he became some famous doctor guy, scientist, who, along with some others, took the organism his aunt Renee brought back from Europa and saved the planet by, stopping global warming, basically. Saved the oceans, cleaned up the sky, and that was it. They had lived this fantastic life in the past, and they're all big friends. Then Picard has this drink with his family, as he calls them, and then he goes back to the old chateau, shares a moment with actual Laris, and that's how we wrap up the season. That's how we wrap up season 2 of Star Trek Picard. I will do a breakdown type of how I feel about the entire series. Well, the entire season, rather. I'm trying to forget about season 1. Thoughts on the finale? It was a fine finale. Basically, all of their choices were the safe ones, the expected ones. There was no last-minute surprises. Nothing transpired in a way that we weren't expecting. You sent them back to the future. The Borg were good the whole time. The Borg Queen was Girardi. Some of the emotional payoffs were nice. A lot of them were only emotional payoffs if you had followed TNG through up till now. If you were just watching Picard, which, granted, wasn't really the case that they wanted. Obviously, they wouldn't just want people to pop into Picard without knowing the history, but I don't know. It was a payoff for the sake of having built up this love of a lot of the characters throughout the last 30 years, as opposed to a payoff of what we've experienced this season in and of itself. So I've talked way longer than I intended. There's a lot to get through. I feel like this season could have been 4 episodes. Have the first episode play out how it did. Have the second episode where they were in the altered past cut in half. And then, kind of rework a lot of the crap that happened over the next 8 episodes. Scale it down. You don't need a lot of the subplots in there. And then have this episode with a couple minor tweaks play out the way it did. And it could have been a much more satisfying, if not Star Trek-y season. It would have been a satisfying few hours of television as opposed to this long, dragged out nothing, which resulted in a lot of nothing and basically left us back where we were, except now our characters have dealt with their trauma, and their grief. I have a lot more to say. I'll put it in a season 2 wrap-up video, but for the time being, this is all I've got. Until next time, computer and program.